What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the debut album from the band Sanguisugabogg, entitled Tortured Whole. This is released on Century Media Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Columbus, Ohio, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very traditional, humorous, groove-laden style of brutal death metal. Yeah. This band seems to be the big major talk of the extreme metal world as of lately. So allow me to throw in my own 2 cents about this band. Like many, my first introduction to this band was their 2019 debut demo EP called Pornographic Seizures, of course released through the very awesome Maggot Stomp. And I was excited for this band for many reasons. For one, this is a new band that featured the vocalist of the band, Limb Splitter. Now, I really enjoyed Limb Splitter a lot, and I was very curious to see how Devin was going to do his thing with a completely new band and a completely new sound. And of course, listening to this demo and the 4 songs that came with it, you could tell that this was a completely different sort of band. Almost taking a doomier, slower death metal sort of sound going on here. From the deep, cavernous, guttural vocals to the drop D tunage when it comes to the riffs, the loud audible bass, the even more loud and audible drum and snare tones. This was a very entertaining demo, and it received a lot of attention, a lot of critical acclaim, a lot of notoriety. And of course, with this newfound notoriety, this band became more and more widely known. This band was starting to do live shows, do some touring, getting their name out there. And then, seemingly out of nowhere, this band started to go viral. This band went viral in a very big way. I don't know when or how it happened, but people started making memes of this band. Merchandise demand began to grow for this band. I mean, this band only put out a demo, but yet they had a very full and robust merchandising line. Supply and demand. People demanded merch, and the band supplied it, and they became more successful because of it. Lots of bands seem to enjoy whenever they become more popular and more widely recognized, they get the rub of having sold out merchandise constantly. And that's what Sanguisugabogg are all about, and I respect their grind and their hustle. Don't really know why others don't. I know lots of other bands seemingly love to sell out other merchandise, but when Sanguisugabogg does it, they're suddenly the bad guys. So I really don't take all of that seriously. It's just a band doing what bands know how to do, and that is be reasonable, be marketable, and just make a good thing going with selling merchandise. But enough about the merchandise talk. Let's get on to the full-length album here. When I found out that there was going to be a debut full-length from Sanguisugabogg coming, I was very excited. I was also excited to know that they were going to be on a big major label putting it out. So it was just a matter of waiting to see what would happen. And then, of course, the music videos came along. Really crazy, funny, over-the-top music videos. I believe they worked with Trauma Entertainment. Of course, you know Trauma Entertainment best for The Toxic Avenger, Sergeant Kabuki Man, Surf Nazis Must Die, Poultrygeist, all that crazy over-the-top stuff. And those music videos are super entertaining. Pretty gory and over-the-top, but I really enjoyed it. So I really liked what I heard with some of these newer songs, and it pretty much kept the vibe going and flowing with what they had on their first demo. And now here we are with this long-anticipated debut full-length album from Sanguisugabogg entitled Tortured Whole. It's 11 tracks, and it clocks in at around 34 minutes in length. And pretty much, if you're looking for an album that is full of nuance, maturity, depth, and growth, look elsewhere, because you're not going to find it here. What you are going to find with Tortured Whole is 34 minutes of drop G tuned, loud snare, guttural vocals, super over-the-top lyrics. This is pretty much brutal death metal presented to a much wider audience. And I realize that this album is going to get a lot of people talking and a lot of people curious about what this album is about, but I say lower your expectations just a tiny little bit, because this album knows exactly what it's doing. It knows exactly what it's doing, and it delivers everything I expected it to deliver and a great deal more. Musically, these guys and folks know exactly what they're doing. It's just really, really solidly played, brutal death metal. The riffs are so groovy, so chunky, so powerful. That's what makes this album sound the way it does so well. I mean, you hear it on songs like Gored In The Chest, Dragged By A Truck, Dead As Shit, Urinary Ichor. I mean, just some really, really groovy, heavy riffs to be heard throughout this album. This is a very riff-orientated album. There's no soloing, there's no crazy fretboard work, there's no super technicality going on here. It's just straight up meaty, lower IQ style guitar riffs going on here, and I think it's really, really killer. The bass work on here is very good too, just like the guitars. It's very audible, it's very crystal clear in this album. I definitely love the moments where the bass guitar begins to rattle and shake and shine just a little bit, and I think that's what makes this particular bass tone sound so well. When it comes to the drumming, this is definitely where I see a lot of the divide going on here. This album has a very pingy sort of snare tone going on here. I've always heard that this band has somewhat of an influence from Metallica's Saint Anger, and Lars Ulrich having that really trash can snare sort of sound going on here. I mean, if you've got that sort of vibe off Pornographic Seizures, you're going to get that same vibe here. I mean, what else did you expect from a drum performance like this? This is brutal death metal drumming. This is ignorant brutal death metal drumming, and this guy does a tremendous, tremendous job with the drumming. Not just with the snare tones, but with the blast beats, the fills, the syncopations, the energy. Just a very, very well-rounded drum performance. I mean, don't pay full attention to the snare. Pay full attention to every other piece of drum material that gets put on this album, and I think it's really, really good. And when it comes to the vocals, I definitely appreciate what Devin is doing here with this vocal performance. Just like on the demo, very low, guttural, grumbly, vomitous sort of vocals going on here. Of course, like with the demo, you get some over-the-top vocal stylings in addition to some over-the-top lyrical content. I mean, the aforementioned Gored In The Chest, Dead As Shit, Dick Fillet, which I think had a cool music video for that, Felching Filth. I mean, this is crazy, wild, and over-the-top. And you should treat it as wild and crazy and over-the-top. If you're expecting serious, important, thought-provoking lyrics, you've come to the wrong album. But if you're into lyrics that are crazy, funny, gory, violent, and over-the-top, this Sanguisugabogg album definitely delivers that. And I think Devin's vocal performance is really, really good. So overall, if you're into brutal death metal, if you're into lower IQ style brutal death metal, if you enjoyed Pornographic Seizures, I don't see why you wouldn't enjoy Tortured Whole. It's a completely different beast in comparison to their debut demo, but I definitely knew what I was getting myself into listening to this album. But apparently a lot of people who were going into this album didn't really see it that way. A lot of people didn't know who this band was, what they were all about, who was involved, what was involved, and how they could go about it. I mean, this is some very, very dumb death metal, but it's very good dumb death metal going on here. I definitely see big things going on for this band in the future. Once this whole pandemic thing clears up, I definitely look forward to seeing them live again someday. They are the real deal live, and especially with this new material, it's going to be awesome. But yeah, please, please, form your own opinion about this band. Don't use the excuse that the snare is too loud or that they sell too much merch. I mean, if you're not into this band, that's totally fine and dandy, but have a real reason for not being into them and just not liking that they sell out of merchandise or their snare is too loud or their vocals are too guttural or their lyrics are too violent. It's brutal death metal. What did you expect? So if I had to think of any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Menstrual Envy, Gored In The Chest, Dragged by a Truck. The interludes are pretty nice too, little electronic stuff going on there. Dead as Shit and Urinary Ichor. Really, really great stuff. So I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you links to some of the music videos that are currently available and streaming on YouTube. The animated stuff, the trauma stuff, very, very awesome. And this album is available physically in a wide multitude of physical formats. CD, 12-inch vinyl. There's a tape version coming out. And what I have in my hands is the vinyl version. I got myself a copy from Nuclear War Now. There you see this really cool album cover going on here. Back cover with track listings and the band members themselves. I believe they're a foursome now. I know they play as a foursome, but they played as a threesome on this record. Lyric sheet with collage photos and credits. I know Roger from Mortician is on this album. I forget what track he's on to be specific. Lyrics on this side. Fold out poster with the band logo, band photo. Yeah, this is the standard black vinyl edition, heavyweight 180-gram vinyl, but there's also multiple vinyl variations. I know Holy Mountain Printing has some exclusive vinyl variations. But yeah, one last time, if you're interested in listening to this band, don't pay attention to people who criticize this band just because they sell out of merch and have a loud snare tone. Know what you're getting yourself into before you listen to this, and don't be surprised if it's not what you expected. So, again, the album is Tortured Whole by Sanguisugabogg. This is released on Century Media Records. Definitely check this one out. And for its score, I'm going to give this a very solid 9 out of 10. Wildly entertaining, dumb death metal, played by some very, very awesome, awesome human beings. So, if you happen to have heard this album, definitely let me know what you think about it and how you feel about it, or any of you guys into Sanguisugabogg. Definitely let me know. And also, if you came to this video expecting clickbait thumbnails, you are also sadly mistaken. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until the next time, Army Hill out.